There was a time when fear came with options. September 1929. A Manhattan businessman felt something was off. He couldn't name it, but he could feel it. So, he walked into his bank, withdrew every dollar, and walked out holding freedom in a leather briefcase. 2 days later, the markets collapsed. The Great Depression began, but he survived. Because back then, if you saw danger coming, you could still move. Now imagine trying that in 2026. You log into your bank, your 401k, your brokerage. You sense what's coming. You hit withdraw, and that's when you realize your money isn't really yours. This is the difference between 1929 and 2026. And it's the part no one's talking about. Part 1. What freedom looked like in 1929. In 1929, money was simple. Your savings existed as cash and handwritten entries in a passbook. Stocks came as physical certificates, actual property held in your hands. If you sensed danger, you could sell your stocks, withdraw from your bank, or walk out with your gold. There were no digital gates, no pending transactions, no processing delays. The system didn't stop you. The only limit was your awareness. When the crash came, the people who acted early escaped. Those who waited, who believed everything's fine, lost everything. Their destruction came from hesitation, not from restriction. What's changed? The invisible cages of 2026. Fast forward to today. We live inside a digital cage disguised as convenience. Your 401k, your brokerage account, your savings, they look like freedom. But try to touch them when fear sets in, and you'll meet the walls. Taxes, penalties, delays, suspicious, activity reviews. Every click to withdraw becomes a request, not a right. That's not an accident. Modern finance was built to stop you from doing what that 1929 businessman did, to stop you from escaping, because if everyone tries to pull money at once, the system collapses. So instead of fixing the system, they just locked the exits. After the Great Depression, regulators didn't just try to prevent another crash, they tried to prevent people from reacting to one. The goal shifted from protecting investors to protecting the system itself. That meant building mechanisms that could slow panic, freeze liquidity, and keep money where it was, even when people wanted out. Over time, laws, penalties, and safeguards turned the financial system into a one-way street. Easy to enter, nearly impossible to leave. What was once free movement of capital slowly became a network of invisible gates, all justified in the name of stability. The 401k, introduced in 1978, was the most brilliant part of that design. It promised freedom and financial independence, your money, your future. But beneath the marketing, it was a trap disguised as an opportunity. Withdraw before retirement, and nearly half your savings vanish in taxes and penalties. $7 trillion now sit behind these walls, locked inside the system, feeding Wall Street and government debt markets. You think you own it, but try accessing it on your own terms, and you'll discover who truly controls it. The system rewards patience not because it's wise, but because it's profitable for them. Banks joined the plan too, tightening access under the banner of security. Withdraw more than a few $1,000s, and you'll face forms, questions, and delays. Move $50,000 from your own account, and you may trigger a suspicious activity review. Not because you did anything wrong, but because wanting your own money has become abnormal. The same technology that made money move instantly can also make it stop instantly. One policy update, one system hold, one government directive, and everything you thought was yours becomes permission-based. That's the hidden design. A financial world built not to serve you, but to contain you. The perfect storm, 2026, set up. When the next big shock hits, it won't move like 1929, slow, visible, and human. It will move at the speed of code. In 1929, panic took weeks to spread from New York to Chicago. In 2026, panic will travel in milliseconds, across continents, through servers, triggered not by fear, but by algorithms. Machines now make over 70% of market trades. They don't hesitate, they don't breathe, they execute. And when volatility spikes, their code all points in the same direction. Sell. Billions will move before a single headline appears. And as those billions vanish into the digital ether, your account balance will begin to fall. Not because of emotion, but because of automation. When that happens, you'll reach for the same lifeline people did in 1929. The instinct to pull out, to protect what's yours. But unlike then, your request will face an entirely new enemy: delay, processing, pending, temporarily unavailable. Those words will appear on millions of screens, all at once. Not because the banks are empty, but because the infrastructure can't handle the rush. We've seen this already. March 2020, when trading apps froze during the pandemic crash. 2023, when Silicon Valley Bank collapsed and even insured deposits went dark for days. Each event was a rehearsal, a warning of how fast digital panic can outpace digital systems. Now imagine that on a global scale, with governments drowning in record debt, central banks cornered by inflation, and every safeguard already spent. This time, there are no new tools, no new bailouts, no fresh miracles to deploy. The system is stretched to its final thread, and when that thread snaps, it won't sound like chaos. It will sound like silence. Transactions denied, accounts frozen, withdrawals paused for stability. That's the moment the illusion ends. 2026 won't just be another correction. It'll be the moment when the cage doesn't just close. It locks. Part 5, the warning signs, current clues. You won't see this story on the evening news. It's not the kind of truth that fits into a headline. But beneath the noise of optimism and recovery speeches, the people who truly understand money are already moving, quietly, strategically, and far ahead of the crowd. While analysts debate inflation forecasts on television, the real players, the ones with access to the raw data before it reaches the public, are shifting positions. They're not predicting what's coming. They've seen it, and they're preparing for impact. In the final months of 2024, corporate insiders, CEOs, CFOs, and board members sold over $16 billion worth of their own company stock. Not because they needed the cash, but because they recognized a pattern: valuations peaking, debt swelling, and liquidity thinning. Around the same time, sovereign wealth funds from Asia and the Middle East quietly rebalanced their portfolios, pulling billions out of US equities and moving into physical gold, short-term treasuries, and cash reserves. Even government pension funds, usually the last to react, started de-risking, a quiet term that really means getting off the ship before it sinks. They're not waiting for confirmation, for official recession declarations or central bank warnings. They know those announcements always come after the damage is done. These players operate by a simple rule: when the public starts asking questions, it's already too late. So while you're being told to stay invested and trust the system, they're securing their lifeboats, converting assets, and moving to safer harbors. It's not panic, it's preparation. Meanwhile, ordinary investors are being lulled back into the same comforting trance, the same phrases recycled from every crash in history. Stay the course, ignore the noise, markets always recover. They said it in 1929 before the Great Depression, in 2000 before the dot-com collapse, and again in 2008 before the financial crisis wiped out trillions. It's the same lullaby that keeps the system running, because as long as the crowd believes recovery is guaranteed, they'll stay inside the cage, right up until the moment it locks. Still have a choice. The truth is, your money isn't trapped yet. The gates don't slam shut overnight. They close quietly in stages. But there's a window, right now, to position yourself before the crowd panics, to keep liquidity outside the system, to sacrifice short-term tax perks for long-term freedom. 2. Observe what insiders do, not what they say. The people who survive crashes aren't the ones who beat the market. They're the ones who recognized the pattern early and acted while everyone else was still laughing. In 1929, survival meant walking into a bank and walking out with your life savings. In 2026, it means understanding that your digital wealth, your numbers on a screen, can vanish faster than you can click withdraw. The exits are closing, the warnings are flashing, and when the next wave hits, you'll either be watching from outside the cage or trapped inside it. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes in the screams of those who ignored it. If you found this eye-opening, if you want to understand how to protect your savings before the gates lock, hit like, share, and subscribe. Because the truth is, the real collapse doesn't start when markets fall. It starts when you realize you can't get out.